So he was very, very visibly just relieved to have that match done with and to be on the winning end there.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear at this point that if Nukasaku is going to qualify through this tournament, he's going to do it the hard way. Not only is he doing it from a 0-1 start, he played Dione in the opening round. Perhaps APAC region's one of their biggest streamers, biggest personalities, most well-known players, former championship qualifier. Then he had to go up against Kranich, a man with about as much world championship and HCT experience as anyone in this field, managed to scrap back to a 1-1 record. So keep an eye on Nukasaku.
Now, I also know that Raven's Pick is running one of these cards.
Yes. I've not got a pen, so I'll go first when I make my suggestion.
Are we actually writing this down?
I wrote mine down already. I think I know. All right, Raven, go.
So I am going to go, so I'll explain as well. Stolen Goods is in Pirate Warrior, I believe. So I'm going to go for...
Stolen Goods is in Pirate
Don't make everyone else's life easier.
No,
Don't
you've already
them all.
written down.
Right,
you've already written them down, right?
I'm committed.
So I'm going to go for... It's between small-time recruits and...
Because falling down to a 1-2 score means that you're probably not going to be able to make it. He's going to have to win all of his games now, Soyeon will, in order to qualify. But Trenchard moving up to 2-1, if he continues to win throughout the rest of today, he could be in a good spot.
Right. Picking up the early loss is a bit rough. Your tiebreakers, which is the major point that you're looking for if you have a 5-2 record, are better if you picked up your losses later on in the tournament rather than early on. So still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, well, we're going to check in now with a guy who had a horse in that race.
The Blood Cell Corsair herd round. He can pretty much just play this live and start drawing cards as well.
Well, silencing the Validated Doomsayer does prevent it from becoming a 7-7, but you are playing against Thrall now. So leaving a silenced minion on the board isn't really all that attractive because it can just get evolved.
True. Very true.
Well, Naga knows that Devolve is the only card there that is in Tom's deck.
Yeah, Devolve is very interesting because it doesn't always work the way you want to. There's always overstated minions and understated minions at every single mana cost. So sometimes you...
The Shaman deck's so fast to get in the board, very difficult for Paladin to fight back against Flame Tongue Totem in particular. So very much a tough matchup for the Paladin to come back from.
That's right. So current score is 2-1. Tom is leading Naga, but we have still some Hearthstone to play to find out what's going to happen in round 4. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, more action here in the summer playoffs.
The Stegodon and actually keep his minion to evolve. So this is a very back and forth game.
Very, very good sequencing. Make sure to keep both alive. And it looks like we're even at this point. Naga's looking for another big buff. Morlock Warrior Leader is not it. But here's like the big thing. Yeah, it's a minion, and Tom doesn't have any way to get a minion onto the board right now. Has to draw something off the top of his deck.
Tom needs a pretty big draw here. He needs to find something like a Doppelgangster. He needs to find a big minion he can evolve into something even bigger. That's Doppelgangster. I keep saying Doppelgangster, and Tom immediately...
Life total, he might actually just not let it die.
He's going to hold on to the evolve. He wants his taunts. Spike Ridge Steed, there's 7, 8, 9, 10.
One
damage off lethal.
1 damage off lethal, and you know how many taunts are coming back on the other side.
I don't know. Someone knows. It's not me.
Sorry.
You know there were a lot.
Naga knows at least there's 3 or 4 taunts.
Yeah. And he has a board full of small minions.
With
the possibility to evolve.
With the possibility to evolve those minions too. Not to mention you also be losing one of your bigger damage dealers. Number 2, 4-0 doesn't guarantee you anything. You can still lose out from this point on, but your tiebreakers are guaranteed to be at least very good. If you're able to get one more win, you should be able to be in the top 8.
Yeah, and Tom's a player that not just Soddle, as a player, or a caster rather, who picked him is rooting for, because he is the point leader in the Asia Pacific region for Last Call by miles. So if he ends up making it to the championship and qualifying for the World Championship, that really opens up sort of the scrum of people in the Asia Pacific region who are fighting for that spot.
Yeah, number 2 spot belongs to Aqua, as you guys saw. He's currently 3-0, undefeated, not dropping a single game. And the thing is, he doesn't even hero power, man. That hero power is so intimidating. I think Nukasaki's just kind of crumbling here under pressure, realizing that he is locked out.
Yeah, and there it is, the concession coming through. So Bao evens up the series, going to 2-2. And the control mage deck looked a lot stronger in that game than some of the times we've seen it on camera before.
Right, but I think the Paladin deck is supposed to be one of the decks that it's better against.
Right.
It doesn't have a lot of direct damage, maybe a consecration and some weapons, and perhaps the Hydrologist secret as they're out. But for the most part, if you're able to stabilize onto
The 2 damage plus the 3 damage from Rallying Blade, but Bao's been holding onto this Harrison Jones for quite a while and now is going to get rewarded for it.
Stonehill Defender also coming to the hand, so cheap ways to get that quest counter up. Bao can also play this Armor Smith and get fully command of the board. Can even start pressuring life total as well. It's not 11 Bao represented right now.
Sharp gadgets and steel.
Murloc Color is not going to cut it. Consecration can help out here.
Now he's in a little bit of a sticky spot. He has to find some way of dealing with this. Poison Spiders are the immediate thing to leap to, especially because Dione has no Consecration in his Paladin, as you would expect when you are building your decks to beat Jade Druid. Consecration is not a card that you really want. Killing the Malfurion tokens when they go poison is about the only useful part of Consecration in this matchup.
Pushing for the extra 2 damage in hand.
Get him.
Yeah. I'm surprised Pimlico's taking so long here. I think there is literally only one good response he can do, which is this, that he is going for, but he's just saying what happens if I Jade Blossom? That's why people ban Jade Druid.
Yeah, and again, like let's put this into context and temper expectations a little bit. Like this has been Dione's strategy throughout this whole tournament so far, and he's 3-1. So it's worked for him in 3 of those series so far. But it just seems like, going back to Europe last week and now our one example of it here, when we see people on stream leaving Jade Druid up, it does not go well for them remotely. Europe, all the way back to round 1, the feature game, the opening match of the summer season, we saw someone try and leave Jade Druid up, and it won at the first port of call, and that's exactly what we're seeing again. It's why Jade Druid is just indisputably the best deck in the game right now, but Dione clearly has a strategy that he's happy with, and so far it's got him into a very comfortable position through this Swiss. But now we're going to have to see how his lineup performs against the remaining decks when Jade Druid has already found a way over the line.
Yeah, I mean, Dione has Jade Druid for a start. Yeah. So I think this is the first time in HCT this
went into the pool early. He wants to jam that potion as early as possible, having drawn the Giant, because that means that if he played any third minion, he would have a chance of just missing the Giant in future and just ending up with a Farseer and a Kazakus being revived instead.
Yeah. And now, although a lot of people don't believe it's going to be a big enough change, there's the power of Innovate.
Yes.
If Innovate was new Innovate, that couldn't happen. 1 swing of the Giant extra, 1 turn of board development extra. It's actually a big deal.
It's huge.
A lot, but then Cruel and Hope it's enough at this point, I think.
So he will get
After Cruel, you can follow it with Blast Crystal Siphon.
Yeah, he will get a 7-9 to contest the 7-7. He'll have a Jiraxxus that's uncontested. The Doomguard can attack the 3-6, which Dreadlord will then finish the job for him. Actually, it's a very nice turn in terms of just the breakpoints and the way everything lines up.
Absolutely huge. Like I said, even if all this is traded away, it's basically 1 Gul'dan draw away to be able to push forward in this matchup and probably just win at that point, to be honest. If this board gets cleared this turn and then Gul'dan's drawn, Druid can barely clear this board once, never mind twice, on top of the hero power. And a lot of removal. And half removal, so Silence here in Pimlico's hand in the form of the Spellbreaker. Then Siphon, Blast Crystal, and Drained Soul. Dione just going through these, through the plans here. What exactly either A gets him.
I'm out of cards.
Held out of cards for approximately 3 seconds. Jeju's known for. No wish to draw them all again.
Yeah, and amazingly, the game actually has come all the way down to the point where it's infinite Jade Idol. It's Jade Idol fatigue coming into play. I was not expecting Druid to be so resilient that it just kept this going for so long. It was able to get through the initial flood of Krull. It was about as big a flood as you can get off it. He got damage to the 1-2 and the 5-2, which would then give him a really sick defile.
Yeah.
That did not happen either. So he's got himself into a pretty sticky position now. But as you said, the Frostmourne does have some defensive value inside of it right now.
Yeah, with that Jade Idol though, it does mean it takes an additional 2 damage now for that overdraw. That fatigue draw, but
Just can't get through. He accounts for the cards that are there with the swipe and the rack that he knows are coming back, plus the Malfurion hero power. He cannot hold off those huge Jade Idols. Raven, you called it. You said, oh, it's looking like a 2-0, but that huge 3 3s and 4 4s, that was 7 9s, 5 7s, 3 15s, things that Druid aren't supposed to be able to kill. He just did it. Just blitzed it out.
yeah, and now we have the Druids out of the way. We can get back to the series with the rest of the classes and see what these players can do. Danny versus Ping Ping Ho is coming up right after this. Leaving Druid up and both players taking wins with Druid. Not too much of a surprise, but now Priest Warlock versus Priest Paladin. We just need a Priest Mirror. Both players to win with Priest at some point. And then we'll get to the number 3 and 4 classes potentially.
Yeah, the Jade Druids being left up here is actually a little interesting to me because it comes from 2 different places. You know, Dione is leaving Jade Druid up as part of his strategy and just trying to counter it out. Ping Ping Ho, on the other hand, looked over the aisle and just saw Quest Mage on the other side, and that just beats all of his decks. So he chose to ban that out instead, thinking he was more likely to find a win off Jade Druid. Whether that was insane or not, you know, you can speak for yourself. But I remember last week, Admirable was making a big deal about how he felt like Quest Mage was actually a good meta call. He picked his one to watch on the prediction board off the back of Quest Mage. And if you get into scenarios like this, where players are looking over and saying, well, Quest Mage beats my entire life.
3 damage and no card.
Hey, it worked. It works.
I think he might think he needs to do something strong
Sure.
to take the win, and you do have to take risks. How much a lot of players speak about, well, there's always a statistically best play. I think there is something to be said for, you know, being a little bit risky and saying, well, if he's got it, if he's got it. If he's not, though, I stand a very strong chance of winning this game.
I'm extremely triggered by that statement.
I know.
Yeah, okay.
I can like now it's all the targets in the world to be able to draw a single card and take the minimum amount of damage. Also, just a heal potential here. Yeah, there's like Velen Spirit Lash that is the mega heal, so to speak.
That's true. We haven't seen the Spirit Lash get used just yet, right? Velen Spirit Lash, I didn't quite process the first time someone dropped a Velen and then Spirit Lashed me. I didn't quite process how much they were going to heal for because...
All of it.
Yeah.
They heal for all of the heals.
It's a Reno.
Yeah.
Like, Spirit Lash doubles in damage, so it does 2, and then the healing then redoubles because of, you know, the exact text that's on Velen. So each minion that gets hit, you heal for 4.
Yeah, because the card doesn't say, it's not Holy Nova, it's not deal 2, heal 2, it's deal X and then lifesteal it.
Yeah.
Oh, Admirable's favourite card, he's never going to get tired of hearing this.
Petty little quibble about exactly how many times you were going to need to clear the board.
Yeah, and I do think especially because...
Which ended up being about 5.
There was almost... there was almost the one turn that was built from the Curator draw. right?
Yeah.
Like that one board
Right.
that was built from having Curator, and we've seen so many Murloc Paladins actually get to that stage in the game and just run dry, right? They like, please can I draw Tyrion sort of moments, or, you know, Hero Power Bone Mare is their strongest play. It wasn't the case there, and it really did work out for Downey. We are going to go through the last game, and it's Fabled
0-3 against Taco with
Wow.
Warlock.
And look at this as well. I was just about to say, I mean, game. Tar Creeper stops that. Faceless Shambler, game. You know, there's no answer. He has to Tar Creeper, which limits what he can do damage-wise. Maybe it's Tar Creeper Drain, Tar Creeper Thanos to try and get a draw. But then, you know, Downey has the Faceless Shambler just to create a 16-16 number 2. There's no answer to the first one. How's there an answer to 2? Oh, Downey's drew. Yeah, okay, that's the answer.
Word pain
Look
off
at
the
that.
top. Ungoro flashbacks. 16-16. Razorleaf ends the game on turn 5. Pirate Warrior.
Earlier, these wins are so important to put yourself in the best possible position. We're in round 5 at the moment, only one more round today. If you go into tomorrow knowing you are in and you are just playing for seeds, you can have a very relaxing night's rest.
Yeah, and I'm a little concerned because I've set out a lot of my stall in terms of predictions for this tournament on Warlock being able to hold its own against Priest. And one of my picks, Tom60229, has, I believe, that exact same Warlock list that Pimping Ho is carrying, which does not seem to be performing too well. However, Tom is doing very, very well for himself, so maybe
And Jade Druid was the highest win rate deck at the end of it all. Granted, it had a small sample size because only the people that left it up had to have a strategy against it, but still had the highest win rate. So even decks that were targeting it didn't do well against it. But Coco Sasa currently is doing well. And right now he's playing Big Priest. And Big Priest lives and dies by one little guy. His name starts with a B, ends with an Arns.
Yeah, Barnes is definitely an important one, but you know, I've played a considerable amount of Big Priest, and this matchup can be favorable at times. However, Ouya has the magic opener, Coin Wild Growth into Jade Blossom. The only missing piece of this.
Yeah. I don't think it's what he's looking for.
The pressure is just so high from Ouya because of how strong his draw was that Coco Sasa might not get out of this because Ysera does not offer defensive potential.
Yeah, and you heard Kibler say it earlier, Coco Sasa, based off his lineup, you could guess it. He has not banned Druid yet, and he is 5-0. But if he lets Druid get a win in the first game, he might struggle. Now, Big Priest still has some game against aggro, but Quest Mage is going to struggle to get wins against the remainder of Ouya's lineup.
Well, that's where the Priest comes in and is a fairly big deal to me. Is lineup is why you're seeing him at 5-0. He's finding success versus one of those two decks.
Yeah, Quest Mage and Big Priest, both of those decks have reasonable to good matchups against Jade Druid and Highlander Priest. So I'm actually surprised more people didn't bring that type of strategy, just because they knew that those decks were going to be popular. It's just people thought, why would I risk playing against Jade Druid, one of the strongest decks in the game? But it's working out for him, so more power to him.
A lot of times when you're at this caliber of player, they don't like to take risks whatsoever. Their main goal is to be able to make decisions and have those decisions be very
Terran, but that doesn't come down for 2 more turns, and if Coco Sasa is able to pick up, whoa! Those are not good options.
Well, Greater Healing Potion will buy him time at the very least. I mean, Coco Sasa's deck has a lot of strong power once it hits the 6 mana spot.
He was hoping for Eternal Servitude there, though.
Oh yeah, that's the breadwinner.
2 copies in his deck, and Shadow Visions didn't hit a single one. That's pretty low chance considering there's not too many spells in the deck.
This is just such a major swing here. I mean, Coco Sasa now has the 4/8 lifesteal. When it dies, it's going to destroy one of Ouya's minions.
Left in his deck that could help him.
You know, 9 looks like he's close, but Taunt and Life Drain is something else.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Shadow Word Horror Anti-Magic Shell looks fine to me at
Even
this
just
stage.
the Greater Healing Potion.
Sure, yeah.
Puts him, clear out of range of the rest of what Ouya has. Big Priest has fully recovered on the back of Barnes.
Yeah.
battle is over.
Yeah, Wuya's decked out. Keleseth in bottom 3, but I don't know if it would have mattered too much. Maybe if it came out super early in the game, it could have allowed him to get that extra damage he needed. But, man, Coco Sasa just showing Big Priest in action there.
That deck is something to behold.
It really is. Now, it sort of lives and dies by a very few key cards.
Yeah. Very important matchup for Coco Sasa because his Paladin deck can struggle to Wuya's Highlander Priest. He's not quite as aggressive on the Murlocs, and he's focused on the Corpse Taker in addition to the Gentle Megasaur. So he doesn't have that same explosive potential that you see from the decks that are running the Grime Street Murloc. I can't remember. It's the 1-mana 2-1 that buffs a Murloc in your hand.
Grimscale Chum?
Grimscale Chum. And that's one of the most powerful things you can do versus the Priest is just land a big Gentle Megasaur. That's a tough one for them to recover from.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be a big one, and Coco Sasa.
Wuya. Game 5. Wow. That is some draw.
You have best.
Yep. Taps out.
We do not have time to go through the animations. Once you see that time warp,
It's over.
you know it's coming.
Yeah. Put too much faith in the quest counter there. He was much further along than we had expected. But definitely a solid win there. And he had the pieces really early. He still had a ton of cards left in his deck. He only used a couple of card draw effects. Didn't even need the Cold Oracles. Went off on, what was it?
Turn 8?
Yeah. Well, it was I think turn 10 maybe. But
I think it was turn 8.
really, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that deck can hit the ground running real quick once you assemble those pieces. Sometimes they're in the top 15 cards. Sometimes they're in the bottom 5 cards are those pieces. I think Archmage Antonitis is usually the one that's hiding all the way down there. But it's going to a game number 5, and it's going to come down to the Murloc Paladin for Coco Sasa and the Highlander Priest from Wuya. And this is a matchup that we've seen a ton of over the past couple weeks, not only today, but in the Europe playoffs. Two of the most represented decks going head-to-head.
A couple big things to look at here for Coco Sasa's Paladin deck as well. There are some significant tech cards. Number 1, he does have the Storm Watcher in here to act as a giant threat.
Ivor and I could essentially lock up a game because Wuya won't be able to do anything but try and remove the board. I think Coco Sasa
He's got to go
may
for
have turned the
Anduin.
corner.
Anduin sets him to 13, and he gets to pick off the Hydrologist when this happens. So there's still some work to do, but Coco Sasa has some extremely good draws at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all of his top end is still there, aside from the Spikeridge Steeds.
Doesn't look like much, but
I mean, it's something. There's a 4 damage draw.
But the Priest of the Feast is on board. That's the issue here. The Lyra's on board. Both of those are priority kills right now. And Wuya picked up Devour Mine. All he needs is things to cast.
This Priest deck is scrappy.
I think you gotta kill the Lyra. There's no way you can risk that.
Let me think.
You know Wuya has a spell. His hero power's free. He's drawing an extra card, and every spell he casts will heal him for 3. You cannot not kill the Lyra.
Must move quickly.
Killing the Lyra is about the same as killing the Priest of the Feast here. Except you deny a lot of free cards.
I would have gone face 30 seconds ago and lost the game promptly.
Protect that Priest of the Feast. Here.
3 health.
2 more damage.
Gimme.
Make it 2 more.
I think Coco Sasa knows it.
And Wuya knows he's free to attack. Because he knows what secret that is.
Can Coco Sasa pull a dino size out of nowhere?
How glorious it would be.
That's
Corpse
out of
Taker,
dino size.
No gas. Lyra has unlocked so much potential for Wuya. The Devour Mind he got, the extra life from the Priest of the Feast, the desperation Anduin to just live with extra life.
The Acolyte of Pain, ping it, draw the silence to keep yourself alive. Insane.
Everything mattered in this game.
And Wuya kind of just breathed a sigh of relief there. He's nodding his head like, okay, this one's mine.
Wow.
Blessed be this funnel cake.
He's going to be able to push more damage too. He can heal back to almost full if he so chooses.
13's about full right now.
Not even dino size. You get him out of this one.
Taunt? What taunt's it? Tar Creeper? Is that the taunt in the deck? Imagine if he had Obsidian Statue.
The victory is yours.
3 games to 2. Ouya moves on to 6-0 match record with a Paladin deck that features 9 different cards at the.
Deck looks weak. He plays it, deck looks strong.
Notice the common denominator.
I wonder what
in the weak spot.
Oh man. But yeah, Wuya, definitely a great run so far. He's going to be moving on to the top 8 guaranteed. It's very likely that Kokosasa will as well, but Wuya stands alone at the top.
Yeah, I mean, the tiebreakers for Kokosasa are fantastic at this point. His lone loss is to the only undefeated player in the tournament, and hats off to Kokosasa as well. I think he played some pretty strong-looking games here. The Quest Mage was just lights out. It's interesting decks. It's just everything Asia-Pacific has always been about.
You know, Kribo's in no rush. Kribo is not dying anytime soon, whereas Tom has to, you know, just scrape to try and stay alive every turn. And, you know, just puts himself to 8, which is definitely scary. But now the hero power will push him just outside that range. But if Kribo does hit face with this hero power, that is just going to be game because of this death coil. Let's see if he hits it. He can't proc and execute to guarantee.
Nope.
Without the death coil. Misses, but again, just a matter of time. Literally asking Tom to just do something here. Tom is gaining health here.
Yeah, and Machamp, I think the question here is, will he be able to pick up Blood Reaver Gul'dan on time? Because that's a very important part of this matchup, as we saw with Tom being able to stabilize. And as soon as that hero power gets rolling, it's tough for the Warlock to survive.
Oh, yeah. So Sunwalker not the most efficient here against Dreadlord, but it'll get the job done. For Tansoku, he's trying to get to Sulfurost basically as quickly as possible. Once that damage starts rolling, it's fairly tough for Machamp to fight through that unless he's just got it
pointed at the face.
This is a big deal because now he's got the Sulfurost swing on the following turn and the activation. Machamp is getting dangerously low.
He needs that Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and he's not picking it up. That's a Siphon Soul. Not going to help against 8 damage to the face.
Yeah, if Tansoku just simply doesn't play minions, that Siphon Soul has to be pointed at his own minion. But that's the utility that Mistress of Mixtures can very much serve in this deck. Just turn cards that are now effectively dead in the matchup into healing effects. Oh boy, that is bad news. That shot was great last turn. It is hideous this turn.
Yeah. Hellfire.
How much damage is that? I think that's lethal.
That's lethal.
Hellfire into Tainted Zealot.
Oh, no.
Hellfire into Mortal Coil.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
it.
lethal damage.
And Machamp takes the win over Tansoku, moves up to 5-1. Is able to get the job done with the Warlock, the threat-heavy Warlock.
Monstrous endgame if that deck is able to draw with impunity.
Yeah, and there's the leaderboards after the round of 6. Wuya, the only player at 6-0, and a lot of big names sitting there at 5-1. 2 players with Quest Mage, with Kokosasa and Dione. Horo, a participant and someone who did well in the past 2. Machamp, who we just saw surrender from Planet Odd. Your pick on the chalkboard. also doing some great work as well.
I mean, he's been hunting for the big one for quite some time. He's got a fantastic team, and he's got some fantastic play.